If you implement the 10 tips in this video, I guarantee you will become a better mid laner. Although it's not my main role, mid is a ton of fun and I usually queue it as my secondary option when playing ranked. Whether you are new to the role or already a mid main, there is something for you to learn from this video. I will only be covering information that can be applied to all seasons and is not meta dependent. If you want to know anything else, like what characters and builds are good right now, I'd be happy to answer your questions in the comments or when I'm live on Twitch. The first tip is to work with your jungler. The mid-jungle relationship is probably the most powerful duo in Smite. Especially in the early game, you're going to be sharing a lot of farm with your jungle and working with them to gain an advantage. For example, if your team's blue buff is getting invaded and the jungler is having trouble stopping it, it might be a good idea for you to rotate over and help out. You should also keep your jungler informed of things like potential ganks, red buff invades, and if mid camps have been taken. It is very important to not cause animosity between you and your jungler. I see this a lot in low elo games. You want your jungler to be an asset and not a liability, so be nice and work together. Of course, some people are just unreasonable, and in that case it's best to just mute them and play your own game. Number 2. Positioning. Positioning is important for every role, but is especially critical in mid. In the early to mid game, you want to avoid overextending without wards or knowledge of where the enemy jungler and support are. Depending on the mage you are playing, optimal positioning can vary in teamfights. A lot of mages are great at hiding and casting from behind walls. Some mages should be diving the enemy team. Others are best placed near the ally ADC so you can peel for each other and give the enemy divers a hard time. These are just basic examples, and as always, things can change situationally. Mid lane is a very versatile role, and it will take time to find a playstyle that works best for you. Positioning is a complex topic, and I don't want to take up too much time with it in this video, but if you'd like to see a more in-depth guide on the subject, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to make one. Tip 3. Communication. Communication is the key to coordinating with your team and increasing your chances of success. Since the enemy jungle and support are often going to path through your lane, it's good to let your team know their whereabouts in case they aren't paying attention to the map. If you're going to rotate, let your jungler or support know that they can catch the mid wave so it doesn't go to waste. In teamfights, ask the ADC to stay near you if your support is a dive god or having trouble peeling by themselves. The next tip is to play around your power spikes. Some mid laners are strong early, while others need items and levels to get online and become super effective. If your god is good early game, you want to be aggressive and try to get a lead. Look to pressure your opponent to create opportunities for ganks and coordinate with your team to invade red or green buff. On the other hand, if your character is not as good early game, you want to play passive and avoid fights until you've had sufficient time to farm up. It is a good idea to look for fights or rotations right after you reach a power spike, especially if you are finishing an item before the enemy mid laner. You will be outputting more damage than your opponent, which gives your team an advantage and can make a huge difference. Number 5. Poke. Take advantage of your range to look for free damage on the enemy. Poking from a safe distance is a great way to give your team an advantage in an upcoming fight. It can force people to back, or if they stay, it will make them an easier target. 6. Rotations and farming optimally. Since you are at the middle of the map, you have the ability to rotate to either side lane. The enemy might feel safe pushing up if they know where the jungler is, which can give you an opportunity to catch them off guard. If an ally's purple or blue buff is being invaded, making a quick rotation to defend is a great way to help out your team. That said, you want to avoid rotating too much as it will cause you to fall behind. Some mages also just don't have very good fight potential early and really need to focus more on farming to become effective, so it's important to understand your character when making these decisions. Try to plan out your rotations after you've already cleared the wave so you don't miss out on too much XP. If you've already cleared the wave and there's nowhere to pick a fight, go clear jungle farm like mid camps, red and green buff, or back harpies. You want to avoid sitting in lane doing nothing as much as possible, and learning how to optimally spend your time and farm effectively is a huge part of improving. 7. Work with your support. After the initial laning phase, the supports usually gravitate towards mid for farm. You don't have to share every single wave with them, but if your support falls too far behind, the game is going to be a lot harder for you. Hold your wave for them if they are nearby and help them get their green buff. Similar to the jungle tip, I recommend not starting a fight with your support. You don't have to be their best friend, but it will be very detrimental to you and your team if the support is unwilling to help because they're getting flamed. Next up, we have map awareness. Your lane is at the center of the map, which makes it a high traffic area for both the jungler and the support. Make sure you are constantly checking your minimap and keeping track of the enemy so you don't get caught by surprise. If you have no idea where the enemy is, they could be about to gank you. Junglers' positions will often mirror each other. If you have no idea where the enemy jungler is, you can make a solid bet that they are likely on the same side of the map as yours. Good map awareness gives you and your team a huge advantage. Tip number 9. Wards. Placing wards in the side of your lane is a cheap and easy way to give your team a whole lot of extra information. You can also place a ward right in front of the enemy mid tower to reveal which way they go when they path through your lane. This helps your team keep track of enemy positions and avoid surprise rotations. Another nice trick is to purchase a sentry ward before a team fight. Once you find a place you are comfortable standing, place the sentry ward there to ensure the enemy doesn't have vision of you. As always, the most important tip is to practice. There's over 30 mages in the game, so as a mid laner you have more options than any other role. Try out different gods and playstyles to learn what works best for you. The more you play and the more mistakes you make, the more opportunities you have to learn and improve. As you can see, some of these tips were similar to the ones in my jungle guide, but the way that they apply to mid is fairly different. This is just the nature of Smite, and a really good way to improve is to learn all the roles so you can better understand their thought process. I'm thinking about making a video on tips that apply to every role since you all are enjoying these guides so much. And that's it. If you learned anything from this video, please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which role you'd like to see next.